It's about late morning. Afternoon is coming up for you, Dreskin.
Okay.
You make your way down from your upper story room, the Crook's Nook. Not many people today, not many patrons. Smells of fish, actually pleasant smelling fish. They're cooking away, preparing for the afternoon meals. Something you're pretty excited about. You do like a good hearty meal. And you prep yourself, you seat yourself somewhere in a central position where you're kind of alone and to yourself. You can rest your back against the beam that's centered in the building, and you can sit there and watch the door as patrons might come in. So you can eye things. And you can order your meal, which you are happily ready to do, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that proceeds quite well, and you dig right in. All seems normal and great. Outside, the sun is shining. It looks to be a good day here in this town of Otari. Is there anything in particular you'd like to do before we move forward? You're currently setting in the Crook's Nook. Right there.
No, let's see. No, I mean, I could go about and have my meal, and once I digest a little bit, I'll look for any fellow patrons doing their foolhardiness and wrestling over the openings, or I'll look for a challenger.
You're gonna join in that fun.
Yeah, I'll look for a challenge. I'll wait for a challenger.
All right, there's about a half a dozen patrons so far. As afternoon comes closer, there might be a few more. You expect.
Yep.
Davrim, you come down the steps of the Crow's Casks. You look around. It's not many people today. I think you see one person sitting at the bar to your right as you come down these wooden steps creaking. You think of your friend, Thozar. I believe he has a room as well here, in a separate room. I believe that's what it was. Am I correct?
Yeah.
You made your way down. It's still early. This is a little bit earlier than what I just described to Dreskin, but is there anything you'd like to do? You get up early. You like to do that. Would you like to check out Thozar and see what's going on with him? Or would you rather get some breakfast and get started? It's still a little early, though, but you can look into this. What would you like to do?
What do they have breakfast-wise?
Oh, lots of bacons and breads. Lots of vegetables as well. Turnips are a popular feature here in Otari, if you like that sort of thing. And, as always, fish. But that not until lunchtime, so I would expect fish for breakfast.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely go for some cheese, meats, and I'll try some of those turnips and see how they go.
Right. Normal fare, so
yeah,
you don't have
nice
to
little
deduct
break
any.
up fast.
You don't have to deduct any coins for this. I'll assume this is part of your upkeep. But you're having some nice breakfast, which you get promptly. A hefty lass comes to you and takes your order. You recognize her from a previous time eating here. Yeah, you do your thing, and you enjoy your breakfast.
I'll give her a healthy slide grin.
Ooh. A cheeky one you are, I see. And she giggles and she makes her way off to the back. Oh, okay. That's the direction we're going with this campaign. Okay. Prepare yourself, Davrim. There's a lot of big lasses here. All right. Now, making our way back to the Crook's Nook. Still kind of early for the activities. The only person... Actually, the crowd is starting to thin out at this point. Begin to ponder to yourself, what's next? How am I going to make some coin? What am I going to do? These things you got to think about. You've been here in Otari a short while, so you still don't know the lay of the land. You know about what goes on here, though, the Crook's Nook. It's quite energetic as they battle their way for, the inebriated wrestle, as it says. But that usually happens later in the evening. So, that what I can allow you to do is, we'll do this real simple and straightforward. If you'd like to.
I guess it would be I don't know how I want to take this. So let's see.
All right, there is an option. I like this option. This is for everybody, but it's a diplomacy skill. One action you can do during exploration mode or otherwise is gather information. And it's a good
Mhm.
way to just say, you know what, I'm going to roam around the tavern and maybe outside or go to the market square and see if I can gather any kind of information about, and then you tell me what in the world you're trying to find out about something. And we'll make a roll and see how effective you were at doing that. There is always that option. That's a diplomacy
Uh,
skill.
so we can do. Yeah, so I'll gather information around the tavern I'm currently in.
Okay.
Asking about the more prominent, either the more prominent people or the more prominent lore or whatnot that's going around in the town at this current time.
Okay, go ahead and make a
Private.
this will be a blind GM roll, so you don't see it.
Yep.
And
Okay.
it's a diplomacy check. And you're just doing this inside the tavern.
The tavern for now. Yeah.
Okay. The big rumor going around, there's not many people here, but there is some talk. The big rumor going around now is that outside in the woods surrounding Otari, there's rumored to be some feathered beast who's been consuming and attacking travelers along the road to the north. Some large, terrible beast. Some say it has a big beak covered in feathers. It's been terrorizing travelers. To the
When
north.
they disclose this information, do they also mention if there's an if there's a group getting ready to go and like fend off this beast?
Now, as you ask around through the corner of your eye near the entrance, you remember there's a board. And on that board is people are posting things like, hey, I need help. I've got a rat infestation in my cellar. Or visit me now and I need a bodyguard as I travel to Absalom. You'll see a few posts like that randomly stuck. Not many. There might be about 6 different ones. But yeah,
Okay.
you remember there is a post where if you're looking for work, be it cleaning up somebody's basement or maybe adventure, you would find it there.
Perfect.
And that's not unusual for a lot of taverns and inns to have one of these kind of help wanted boards or help wanted polls. They're common throughout Atari. Yeah.
So I'll address the board and see what prospects there are on there.
And while you're doing that, perusing, what are you doing, Devar?
So after having breakfast and
Davram,
oogling
sorry.
the little bit wider of waitresses, I will probably make my way to see if there's any dicing games. It's kind of been my daily routine towards the Crook's Nook.
That's right. Mr. Gambler is in town, out of the way. He has arrived. Let's see, Dreskin, Davram, Devar. Why has everyone got a name that starts with a D? It's harder to
Just to
remember.
make it difficult for you.
Yeah, you got this all planned. Okay. So while you're doing that, checking out games, there's not much going on game-wise, unfortunately. It's still pretty early. But if you wait around, maybe like in the evening is usually when games take place, for the most part. There was that one game you played, met your friend.
Those are? Yeah.
Yeah, so that would probably occur later in the evening. So if there's anything else you'd like to do besides have the breakfast and keep an eye on the larger ladies.
Yeah, nothing. If nothing's going on at the
Make a note here on my pad. Map out Flume of Doom. I could see the adventure going in that direction. You could see us sneaking there at night, getting the lay of the security.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Dreskin, you haven't really been here long enough to catch up on that kind of thing. However, you do see on the post, there is one particular message on the post. And it says, and it's the only one that looks like a possible, this is right up my alley. Looking for someone, essentially, to do a little scouting of the Gauntlight. Now, you're not sure what the Gauntlight is, unless you want to make a society check or a lore check. I don't know what your lore skills are, but a society check.
I have underworld lore, and I have society. I don't have any pluses in it.
All right, go ahead and make a society roll real quick. You can do this public. It's okay.
14, not the best.
You immediately recognize the Gauntlight as a mysterious lighthouse. You don't know much any more than that, but it's an old, abandoned, mysterious lighthouse that lies to the northwest of town of Otari. Not far away, really.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a few hours. You've heard about it. In fact, you can actually catch eye of it in the daytime. You can just see the very top of it. If you look at your map, you'll be able to scroll up to that direction, and you'll see where its location is. So basically about that. And
Okay.
you could click that little icon as well, the Gauntlight, and read a little information as well. So that information is what you know.
Okay. And they're looking for a scout, you said?
Someone seems to be looking for a scout to go up into that area to look around for somebody. And it doesn't go into any great detail, but Rin Savixi, who you have no clue that is.
Just a name.
Mm-hmm. And she is located at, and there's a little address. So if you ask around, they'll tell you exactly where it is. And it's basically the north side of Otari. 60 Osprey Street. You can write that down if you want. 60 Osprey Street is the address. Rin Savixi. And again, when we're playing, you could make little journal entries. You should be able to create them and take notes that way. And they'll remain in Foundry for you, so you always have access. Or you could also use pen and paper and write this stuff down. Any way you want to do it is up to you. Little notes of people and places you've met. You can, whatever way is convenient for you to record that, you go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And I always appreciate when players think ahead and do that, as Davram has demonstrated for us.
Can you
Basically,
repeat that address and name one more time for me?
60 Osprey Street.
60 Osprey Street. And her name was Ren
Savixi. Rin Savixi. Let me get the spelling for that, because it is written out for you.
Okay.
S-I-V.
S-I-V.
I-N-X-I.
S-I-V-I-N-X-I. Okay.
I pronounce it Savixi. Much easier on the tongue.
Done. All right.
And it looks like some potential. Otherwise, everything else on there is like, oh, I lost my dog. Can you help me find it? Little minor things, or need help cleaning the barn. Literally cleaning the barn. Need some renovating.
Right.
So this one seems right up your alley.
The simple things, like as easy as, I'll go about doing those simple tasks as a time filler. Because I am, a good person, and I generally want to see people thrive and help them survive. So if there's like tasks that are, helping people increase their livelihood or their overall well-being, then I'm going to help them do it. Does that make sense?
Makes all the sense in the world. Do you want to head there?
Yeah.
All right. As you're doing that, Davrim, as you sit there and
Yeah.
finish up your plate and admire the scenes, busty women, suddenly you hear a commotion outside. You hear a scream. Dogs begin to bark. You take pause. What do you do?
It definitely sounds like a commotion. I look around. Is anybody else responding?
One guy at the bar. The one guy, he's the only other patron at the moment. He looks over and turns back and he leans into his drink. He's obviously a professional drinker. So no.
Okay. I will definitely stand. I'll check my my rapier and its scabbard and a couple of other daggers in their sheaths and head towards the door then.
No problem. You head to the door. You peer open through the door. It crunches open, and you can see there's a few people in the street. Not a whole lot. You might count about maybe 6, 7, maybe 8. But there in the front, right at the opening of an alley, you see 3 gentlemen, and they're surrounding this short guy. He's a dwarf. That's what he is. A dwarf. You spotted a dwarf. Not a common sight here in Otari, but you spotted one, and they seem to be kind of giving him a hard time of sorts. And dogs are barking. Don't see any guards around. You look left and right, but it just looks like they're kind of poking this guy and pushing him deeper into the alley. What do you do?
This is across the street.
It's across the street, maybe about 20, 30 feet away.
And then there's other people around, right, that have seen whatever's potentially going from the beginning?
Right. There's about a half dozen or more, maybe a few more of that around. They all kind of are pulling away. There's one woman, elderly woman. She has a small child with her, kind of pulling her away and moving up the street. Everyone's basically dispersing, getting away from this little commotion. Again, you don't see any guards.
Toss the dice. Yeah, so I will definitely step out of the inn, seeing the 3 on the dwarf, and say, "Hey, it's a nice day out. What are you guys up to?"
Who are you? One of the brisky, heavy-set guys turns around and faces you. What do you want?
I'll put on a wounded look. "You don't know who I am? That is a shame. We shall definitely rectify that. Perhaps go for a game of dice."
I never seen you or heard you before. No dice, we're busy. Go away. And the other 2 turn into the dwarf, and they're starting to push him deeper into the alleyway. Hell, leave me alone. I didn't mean any harm to nobody, says the dwarf. What do you do?
I direct my questioning out to this. "How about you, fair dwarf? You care for a game of dice?"
They're pushing him away, out of sight. At this point, they're going to go out of sight unless you follow them into the alleyway. Hey, dice anybody? It's up to you. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm not going to let that go, so I'm definitely following it.
You're following?
Yeah, I'll go and toss up shield as I'll step into the alley.
All right, shield is up. Thumb. And you head towards the alley. Now, as soon as you get to the alley entrance mouth, you can see them. They're continuing to go back. They seem to be beating up on this guy. And just as you make your appearance, the bigger one, the one that first spoke to you, he abruptly turns and closes his arms together like this, folded, and says, "Go away. This is none of your business."
Well, that's the funny thing about business, is it's wherever you decide to toss it. And I've tossed it here. Either let them go, or things are not going to go in your favor.
At that point, he kind of shifts back and forth. The dwarf is kind of being held in the back away from him. He's about 10 feet away from this big human, bald. He's just muscular. He's obviously a hard-working farmer type here in Otari. But he seems pretty intent to say, basically, keep you out of what's going on here. Like, get out of here. But Dreskin, feels good to be out in the street, sunlight hitting you. You're on the bridge, looking out over the water. You can hear the water pass underneath. You look to the north, wonder to yourself, where is this Rin Savixi? and you begin your little journey walking up the street on your way to Rin Savixi. As you near around the center of the town, you hear dogs barking, howling. Perhaps something is amiss. You're not sure. You see a patrol of 3 or 4 guards. They're dressed in the green and white tabards of the Atari Guard, easily recognizable as a town guard, uniformed. You might want to make notes of that. Atari Guard, green, white. Just so you know. You see them pass by you, heading in that direction. What do you do? Anything in particular, or?
Greet them with the day.
Well met, my friend. They return, and they turn and head towards the north. Basically the same direction you're going. So they're about 10 feet in front of you. Not a crowded streets. It's still relatively early. We're about in the late afternoon. That's what I want to say. Late afternoon. And you follow the guards who are about 10 feet in front of you, heading in the same direction. What are your thoughts right now? What are you thinking? What's going through your head? They're heading somewhere. There sounds like there's some activity up ahead.
I don't really pay attention to where they're going. I'm focusing on the streets and the street signs, trying to find this address.
Okay. All right, Davrim. Things are looking pretty desperate. They're not advancing on you. But it looks like they're waiting for your next move. Do you back away? Or do you interject yourself even more into this little situation? Obviously, a situation they don't want you involved in.
Yeah, Davrim wouldn't back down. And at this point, with them being hostile, do they have any weapons drawn or anything?
They have no weapons that you can see. So no weapons.
I'm going to go ahead and cast the light at a distance onto the side of the building.
Okay. How far away?
So I'm going to use my distance effect. Normally it's a touch.
Okay.
So I can cast it on an object. Normally this is at a touch, but I'm going to cast it 30 feet away.
Okay.
To basically illuminate the what I'm assuming is a shadowed alleyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not really dark. It's daytime, so it's not really dark and shadowy, but it's out of the way from peering eyes, you could say. Lots of buildings around.
Yeah, so I'm for the entrance of the alleyway or passageway. I'll cast light to show that I am a magic user. And again, this is the last warning I will give. You will let that dwarf come play a game of dice with me, or, well, things are going to get bad.
I'll tell you what we will do. Go ahead and make a secret or a blind GM intimidation roll, because effectively this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a reaction here. Okay, so let's see how effective you are at this little display of magical prowess. I think that's the right idea. Okay. As you do this, the magic light it flashes 30 feet from you, near where this commotion is all going on, and this big burly guy stands, so it's close by to him. He's a little bit shocked by it. He kind of drops his arms to his sides, and he looks at you, he looks at the magic, he looks a little bit shaken, and he kind of stutters in his speech and starts to take a few steps back. Wait a minute, we don't want no trouble from a magic caster.
See, that's wise. Isn't that wise? Come here, Mr. Dwarf. It's time for a drink.
The dwarf kind of looks left and right at the other two, watching him. These other two, by the way, they're not as big as this one central guy standing in front of you, menacing like. So he begins to move away from their grasp and does so quite effectively and makes his way towards you, and they don't seem to be reaching toward him or preventing him from doing so. You seem to have been effective with your intimidation, Davron. And he approaches you. Thank you. I don't know what they were doing, but I don't want no part of it. Thank you. I thank you. And he turns back around to face them. What do you do now?
I lead the dwarf out of the alley. Hopefully he'll follow.
Oh, you start to... Go ahead.
Yeah. And Davron will flash his best, basically shit-eating grin. Good day, gentlemen. Good day.
Gotcha. You begin to back out slowly at first, and then you start to turn and move quickly towards the tavern. And as you do, suddenly, there before you to the right, you see three or four of them. 4 town guards suddenly confront you. What's going on in that alleyway? What's going on? Out of the way. And they look.
Oh, no worries. Just doing your work for you. Go ahead. There's some light there if you'd like to go see.
And he smirks at you, and they look down there, and they can obviously see the 3 guys that were down there, hassling folks, as you would put it. And they pause, and they look at you. Well, just a second. You remain here. And 2 of the guards kind of grab your shoulders and hold you in place, you and the dwarf. Well, the other 2 turn to go down the alleyway and confront these other gentlemen. Do anything here? Or do you
I
resist?
just sit there and grin. No resisting. Not town guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you see this going on. Dreskin, it's pretty clear something was going on. You just saw the guards there that you're falling behind. They stopped looks like a dwarf. Somebody else much taller. But seemed to be holding them. Some of the other guards disappeared down this alley. Not sure what it is. I guess you could go to the other side of the street, continue your journey. Or, what do you do?
I approached the town guards, and because I saw them roughly grab the 2 individuals in the street. So I go up and I address them like, "Good sirs, is this any reason to harass the citizenry?"
One of the guards turns to you. Here, who are you? You're new in town. You don't know our ways around here. Where are you coming from?
No, I'm just a humble traveler, but to treat people so roughly is not a sign of goodness.
And as you say this, the other 2 guards come back up the alley. The 3 humans trailing them kind of look like they're sulking. Their heads are down, and they turn in the opposite direction, heading to the north, incidentally, which is your direction of travel, Dreskin, and disappear to the north. But anyway, there's now standing in front of you 2 Otari guard in their typical green and white tabards. And they're holding this dwarf and other individual.
These fine gentlemen appear to have no reason to be held so roughly.
Indeed. I have done nothing wrong.
Suddenly the dwarf that's next to you, he looks at you, Davron, and he, he just breaks out in this laughter. Thozar, it's getting a bit much now. All this dog barking and noise. You're up in your private chamber of the Crow's Casks. You're still waking up at this point, but you're totally ticked off that all these dogs are barking noise, and now this laughter is a bit much for you to handle. You go up to the window of your second floor room, and you peer out, and you swear you see Davron, the gentleman you met earlier. And you crack open the window. What do you do?
Keep it down out there. Some people are trying to sleep. And I slam the window shut.
Slam! All right, let's roll a dice here. I'm going to make a d6 roll here. I'm going to consult my oracle. Okay. All right, it slams tight with a thud.
Okay. Well, those are. I mean, he's local. I know him. Guards. Yes. Like all I was doing was saying hello. Clearly, you can let me go. No harm was done. Nothing was wrong. You escorted the other guys away. Obviously, they were the wrongdoers. How about it?
The one main guy here, he seems to be the guy in charge. The other three are just going along with him, but he's the one who confronts you after coming up from the alley. He's the main guy, and he takes your questions and he says, well, do you know this dwarf?
Unfortunately, not any more than I met him a few moments ago.
I
And
see.
he was being harassed, and I stepped in and intervened and stopped him from being maybe abducted.
And how about you? He looks to you, Dreskin. Do you know this dwarf? Do you know who he is? Have you met before?
No, I happened upon you harassing these fine citizens in the street, and I wanted to find out what the
Harassing.
cause was.
There's no harassment here. Pretty obvious.
Oh, great! With
I
that,
was-
with no harassment, I'm going to shrug the shoulders or the guard's hands on my shoulder, shrug them off. See, so we're good.
All right. At this point, he looks to you, Davram. Looks down at the dwarf. This dwarf is wanted. We're taking him in. You best step aside while we do so. Or if you want trouble, you could join him.
Can I ask what his crimes are?
It's not for you to know. But we're taking him in. Step aside. And the three other guards come up and they kind of wedge between you and the dwarf. And they put their hands on the shoulder of the dwarf. They're about to take him up to the Otari garrison, which is where they have the jail. So, how do you guys respond to that?
I'm going to look down at the dwarf and kind of with another grin on my face, I smile and say, well, crap, my friend. It looks like you're out of the fire, but directly into the kettle. And turn back towards the crow's nest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, correct.
Thozar, do you do anything?
Well, since I was like in a half awake, half sleep state, I'm just now realizing that there was actually 4 town guard down there.
Mhm.
So I go back up and open the window.
Okay.
Well, what's going on down there?
Just causing some trouble, it seems.
It's too early in the morning to cause trouble. You're supposed to do that at night.
Oh, that's true. You got me there.
So why am I seeing the guard like leave right now, or are they still down there?
Well, there's 4 in all. They're all kind of right now. They're pulling away from those guys. They're about at this point about 10 feet away from each other at this point, and are about to disappear out of your sight, your view.
Do I recognize any of them? Am I familiar with any of them?
The guards?
Yes.
You don't recognize them.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, give me a couple of minutes. I addressed. I gotta do some devotions, and then I'll be right down. Give me 30 or an hour. I think it's an hour. Might be 30. I don't know. I'll meet you downstairs.
I'll have your morning mead ready.
Sounds good. And then I
Thozar?
close the window.
Not Thozar. Dreskin. What are you doing while this words are being passed around and this is happening? Anything?
Well, I bid everyone a good day, and I head off back towards the north to try to find this address.
And as a side note, actually kind of thinking back on it, Davram will look at Dreskin as he's walking away. He'll grin for half a second like he had a thought, and he'll like, hey, Greenie, thanks for standing in back there. How about a drink?
Waving my hand back, I say, maybe this evening.
All right. I think I've seen you around the Crook's Nook, so I'm assuming that's where I'll find you.
Good a guess as any.
And on his way he goes, traveling to the north. Okay, you guys can regather yourselves. The dwarf is being hauled off now, probably to the jail, like they said, but they all disappear off and out of sight. You guys can get back into the tavern and join up, Thozar and Davrim. And while that's happening, Dreskin, you continue on your journey, heading north.
Correct.
And it's not a long journey. It takes about maybe another 15 more minutes. And you get to the block where it is located. If you look at the map, you will see a location called Rin's Wonders. It's the very top. Well, let me look at my notes real quick just to refresh my mind. Describe this. As you approach this interesting little location, this shop, you see a sign dangling from it. And it's got a sign of what looks like cards surrounded by stars. Not sure what that means. Make of it what you will, but it's obviously some mercantile type business. This is the address indeed, 60 Osprey Street. You catch sight of the backyard, and you can see some very nicely constructed stone walls. It looks like a garden of sorts. It's actually beautiful. You just catch it, and it's the back of this building. The front of the building looks somewhat odd and unusual. It's got multiple colors around the windowsill. There's two of them, by the way, at the front. You proceed up the small couple steps onto like a porch. You come to this large door that has like an archway over top of it. A standard doorway, but unusual in that it's colored red and yellow all the way around its beams at the door. In the center of the door is this large kind of a ring. Obviously what you would... That's a door knocker. What do you do?
Dubiously knock on the door.
It's a little tapper. And as you do, suddenly, a matter of seconds pass, like as if somebody was at the door. It begins to creak open. And you see there in this somewhat dark room, you see the face. Oh boy, let's get out our image. Is there an image of her in here? Yes, there is. Let me get a better image. I'm going to share this for everybody to see. Rin Civixi. Immediately see as the door opens wider, this woman, tall, she has horns coming from her head. She's obviously a tiefling. That's what it is. Yes, may I help you? She says to you.
Taken back because I don't see many tiefling races. I stammer, hello, my lady. The reason I come to visit your shop today is a posting on a board, the bulletin board, the job bulletin board.
Yes, yes. The scout, the Gauntlight, correct?
Yes, correct.
Come in. And she opens the door wider and invites you into the room. As you step through the portal, the door slowly closes behind you, seemingly on its own. You enter, it's actually darker in here than you would expect it to be for afternoon in Otari. Sunny day, actually. It's actually somewhat dark. And there's some candles lit to the left and to the right. Before you, about 15 feet away, is this another arch of a portal leading into another chamber, which you can't make out what's in there too well. It is somewhat shadowy, but you do see lit candles all over the place. And in front of you, in this one central entry chamber, It's about maybe 20 foot square, decent sized. All manner of books, it seems, and tomes and trinkets adorn the walls and shelves. Before you is this one central table with 3 chairs to the left, right, and on the opposite side of you. And it sits there. She walks towards this small little table, and she turns to face you, and her right hand drops, pointing to one of the chairs. Come, sit down, my friend. We shall discuss what exactly I need.
I graciously take the chair, trying not to knock into any of the curios that I see around.
Yes, yes. Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thank you.
Wonderful herbs. It is so tasty in the morning. You sure?
Yes, it's strictly beer for me.
A beer drinker, I understand. Well, then give me a moment. I must prepare something in the other room. And she turns and she disappears through the other portal into the back chamber. Again, you're sitting in a somewhat shadowy atmosphere with candles glowing and the shadows dancing around the walls. It almost kind of is unsettling of a sort. She begins to return back in, and draped over her left arm is this black cloth. And she reaches over to you on the table. Excuse me. And she takes out this black cloth and she lays it and spreads it all so flat and nice on the table before you. And she then reaches behind her, pulls up the chair, and sits herself at the table with you. Now, how did you hear of this Gauntlight and my request for aid?
Like I had mentioned at the door, I had seen your ad at the bulletin board in the Crook's Nook, the place where I am currently staying.
Yes. So you are inquiring from my post. I see.
Yes.
And she looks over you, she looks at you. It is indeed a large... do you have your maul with you?
Yes.
Davram, and Thozar, you do remember when you spotted this one particular orc. Obviously, he was some type of orc, half-orc probably. He did have this humongous weapon on his back. Looked like some type of mace or something, but it was unusually large, which kind of made you scratch your head. Something to think about. So he did actually stand out quite a bit, besides being a half-orc, which are relatively rare here in town, so far anyway. He'd be the first one you've spotted. But that damn thing on his back, what's that story about? But you do remember that. Sven notices this as well, with a look of a little bit of concern. But then she goes at ease again as she looks back at you in the eyes. And she says, you look to be the sort that would be of good help to me. Let me clarify. I will offer you some gold and any other way of assistance I can grant you if you could look for some friends for me. They have seemed to have wandered into the Gauntlight to the north. Actually, I can't say they wandered there. I actually sent them kind of on an expedition of sorts to the Gauntlight for me. I haven't seen them in a while. Kind of concerned. I'm kind of looking for someone of your stature, if you are willing, and for a little extra coin, to go to the Gauntlight and look around, if you will, and report back to me. What do you think?
Can you elaborate on the nature of what they were exploring for?
And she kind of pauses, looks closer into your eyes. Come with me. And she immediately, slowly, I should say, stands up from the table and reaches out to you to lead you to the back. And as she does so, she leads you to this back chamber. You go through the portal, and you see in this smaller chamber, again, it's very shadowy and hard to see, and it looks like this is some sort of kitchen of a sort. There's a little burner on the left side that was previously out of your sight. but you do see a doorway. Now, it's an open doorway. Well, not open. It does actually have like a cloth drape for a door. And she leads you in that direction. And she pulls the drape to the side, and the sunlight immediately hits your eyes. Oh, that's right. You have dark vision, don't you? I gotta keep that in mind. There are no chateaus for the half-orc. Anyway, as you step outside into the sunlight, you can immediately see she's looking in the direction of the Gauntlight. And you could just make it out. You could see the very top in the distance of the Gauntlight. It's very far away. What is it, a couple miles? But you can see it. The shape is there. And she looks to you and says, "My friend, look. You see the Gauntlight in the distance, yes?" Look close.
Yes, I nod.
Look closely. Look very close. Keep your eyes focused on it and tell me what you see. I'd like you to make a blind perception roll. Assuming you are looking towards the Gauntlight. As you look towards the direction and look at the Gauntlight, you could just make it out. It really looks like nothing more than a shape. You can't see any details, but you look at it. 15 seconds go by and you're looking at this and it just looks like nothing unusual, and you kind of look at her and she looks at you. Do you see it? Tell me what you see. Do you see the glow? You're not sure what she's talking about. There was no glow.
I see nothing of interest.
I am sorry. But still, I have use for you. You come inside if you are interested. We will make arrangements. I will provide you with some coin. Perhaps you need to buy some equipment. And if you are willing to take this offer, all I ask of you is to go up to the Atari or the Gauntlight, look around and look for my friends. Any evidence you can find and bring back to me. And I'm afraid for them, honestly.
I motion for her to, lead the way back inside, and I follow her in.
Okay. And you make your way back inside. You get back to the table. Now, if you would like, she is offering you she's going to offer you 5 gold pieces. It's like 50 silver. That's a lot. 5 gold pieces to do this, and she'll give it to you half up front, and you can buy supplies, and if you need anything in particular for a fee, but she can offer that to you as well. She's one of the few sources of magical potions and such in town, by the way.
Can you provide a description of the people I'm looking for? Whether it be gear or like unique gear or unique race or something like that.
She can fill you all in on that if you're going to take this up. Are you going to take up the offer? But yeah, she can provide you all the details you need.
Yes.
So if you're up for the offer, you'll get 2 gold, 5 silver to start off with. If you need any other special magical type equipment, she can probably offer those to you for a fee, maybe a discount fee. We'll see. And she could give you any information that you need on the folks that you would be looking for.
Yeah.
But right off the bat, is this something you're interested in doing?
Yes, I'll take this quest on.
Okay. Then you can add 2 gold and 5 silver to your coins. All right, make a little note somewhere. There's a little quest note like, okay, we got to go to Gauntlight and find some people. All right, there's 4 individuals you're going to be keeping your eyes out for. 2 humans, one of which is a warrior. An elf, often dresses in robes, possibly a magical ability. And also a goblin. All right, those are the 4 individuals that she had exploring for her. And you're going to be looking for those individuals on this little mission. And essentially, if you can find any evidence as to their current location and status, that kind of thing, job done. You know, if you're able to prove that and verify that information, job done. You can get your coin and just sit back and relax at the Crook's Nook. Life's good for a warrior.
Sounds good.
All right. So make a little note of that, of what you're after. Your coins, she owes you 2.5 gold pieces. And if you have any more questions, ask them now while you're here with her. Is there anything else that I can help you with? What is your name, by the way? Warrior. Do you give her your name?
I say I'm just a humble traveler.
Humble Trevor, I see. Are you new here in Otari? I don't recognize you.
I am. I arrived just the other day. I've been at the Crook's Nook.
Ah, the Crook's Nook. You stay at the Crook's Nook. She seems to make a mental note of that. If there's anything else I can help you with, check it out. Let me know. I can help you. But thank you. Thank you for your service. I will be in touch. And again, if you do come with any information as to the whereabouts of my friends, please tell me. Your coin awaits you, my friend. And she sees you to the door.
I bid her good day and start walking back.
Okay, that's that. Closar, you're leaning back. Rose casks. There's a particular spot that you've become accustomed to here in Otari, the crow's casks. A little spot, a little table where you and your friend Devar seem to gather yourselves. It's off to the side, in fact, close by to the bar where you can hear conversations, perhaps. You think so, at least in your head. And there's a little window you can peer outside and check up on any commotions that might happen. You're stretched back at the moment, enjoying your close to lunch. It's actually a late breakfast for you. You're somewhat tired, irritable, of course. Had to wake up and scream at people in the streets. Loud dogs barking. Terrible. Davram, you're joining your friend, and you're both sitting there. You're sipping some ale, what have you. You did pay for your monthly upkeep, so you can have that. Talking about your recent encounter with the dwarf who was hauled off. And of course, that unusual large orc, or half-orc perhaps, more likely, with that great weapon on his back. What's on your minds, gentlemen?
So what was going on out there to wake me up?
Looks like, well, I was having breakfast and just finishing up, and then all of a sudden, 3 gents decided to take it upon themselves to drag a dwarf apparently into the alleyway. Of course, me being me, I had to get my nose involved. And, well, I guess it turns out the dwarf was wanted, but they also took away the other guys, so I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
No, it's
What about-
extremely weird.
What about that half work though? I mean,
Haven't
you
we
don't
seen... I can swear we've seen him over at the Crook's Nook.
I would remember if I've seen him.
I think he's new.
Okay, it's just weird that he's carrying around that nutcracker.
Yeah, it looks like he can do some damage for sure. I mean, he seemed jolly enough and friendly enough. He stepped in on my behalf and like straight up to the guards, like, "What are you guys doing? You got nothing to do here." It was great.
You don't think that's kind of weird? I mean, normally people don't go looking for trouble with the town guard.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that guy's got some kahunas on him.
Yeah, more than me. When they first grabbed me, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go spend another night in the free inn."
Oh, at least you don't have to worry about paying for it.
That's true.
Well, maybe you do in other ways. I don't know. So, what are your plans for today?
Well, I've had my breakfast. I am intending to scout the Flume of Doom a little bit.
Stay away from the West End.
The West End, so near
So-
the graveyard?
No, not the West End of town. The West End of the Flume.
Huh.
Because that's where the mill is. You don't want to be around there. Too many people, too many eyes.
Okay.
Not unless you have a distraction of some type, but
I'm pretty good with distractions.
yeah, I know. Normally involves a cut pair of dice, but whatever works.
Everybody walks away happy. I mean, mostly me.
Well, isn't that the name of your dice? Every embody?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I figured as much. Okay, well, I might go down to the market, see if there's anything I have to, run around town, and maybe take a look at the job boards. I really don't want to have to do that job for mucking the farm and whatnot, but works work. Might head on down to the dock. I think there might be a ship coming in. I don't know.
I might travel with you. I mean, it sounds better than my research, and that can wait. But checking the boards. What's these boards you talked about? I haven't even paid attention to those.
There's just odds and ends. Whenever someone needs something, it's little jobs. But every once in a while, something interesting pops up, and it's like, okay, it might be worth it. You never know. Normally, there's nothing on there that's all that exciting, though.
I'm definitely interested. And where are these posted at?
All over. There's just a small little posts here and there.
Is there one on? Out of curiosity, is there one here at the Crow's Casks?
Jobs post?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. They're commonly found in just about any inn and tavern anyway. But yeah, this one has one as well.
Oh, you mean that board over there that I've walked by like a billion times?
Yeah, that one. I thought I
Makes
pointed
much
it out.
sense.
Hey, I would have mentioned it to you, but that big baby dream, is really messing with my head.
Wait, you had that dream too?
Yeah. Wait,
We drink way too much.
maybe. That's not good. Definitely not so good. I think I might need to lay off the Holy Stout.
Oh yeah, Holy Stout down. That's some peppery stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's good, though. I like it. It's good stuff.
It cleanses the soul.
That's what it says on the bottle.
Okay. As you guys make your small talk, is one of you heading over to the board?
Yeah, I'll check it out now that I've
All right.
actually noticed it.
It's close by to the door. The doors are wide open at this point. It's a double-doored entryway, and they're wide open. Fresh air is coming in. It feels good as you cross that portal's mouth. And you start looking over the board, and as you do, to your right, you recognize something. Quickly turn and see across the street from you is that half-orc trouncing on forward. Thrum, thrum. It's a big fellow, and you can see that big weapon on his back.
So outside, I see him walking by.
Essentially, yeah.
I said I'd catch him later for a drink. It's the big greenie outside again, by the way.
Wait, what?
That big green guy, he's outside.
I'm tending to the shrine. Okay, hold on. Okay. And I head on over.
All right.
Yeah?
You could see him. Do you want to confront him or anything?
Hey, you! As I'm yelling it out from the front door as I lean back against the wall. How do you lift that thing?
Are you addressing me, sir?
I look down one end of the street. I look down the other. And then I look back at him. Yeah.
With a swift flourish, I give it a quick twirl with embellishment and say, with much finesse.
Yeah, but how? That's obviously way too big. Yeah, there's got to be a balance issue going on. I pull out my pipe. Do a little Bruce Flame to get it going. Take a couple of puffs. So what are you doing in town? Haven't seen you around here before.
I am a humble traveler who just came to find my fortune and live my life.
All right.
I just happened to be coming back from a quest that I've accepted. Mentioned to the boards, and I point out the scouting quest, and I inform them of what the details are.
Okay, it's actually a little piece of parchment.
So you're gonna go check out the lighthouse?
It's actually a little piece of parchment that you brought with you to keep track of the address and verify of everything with Zvin. So you could show them that. You still have it. So nobody else can claim the offer.
Oh, that's perfect.
You can
That's
show
perfect.
them that.
There's not a matching one on our board, right?
No.
Seems interesting. So what are you scouting again?
Apparently, this woman has lost another adventuring party, and I'm keen to go help find them.
Noble of you, I must say. Are you going by yourself?
As of now, I haven't found anyone to accompany me.
Well, you have now. Names those are. I hand out my hand.
I grasp it and say, "My name's Dreskin."
How do you do, Justin?
I'm gonna peek my head around the corner from the board. Hey, that sounds like fun. Count me in too. Name's Davram.
Check.
He's a fun guy. I must say, fun guy. You'll like it.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
good stuff.
I don't really not keen on the mushroom part though. Like, yeah, fun guy, but not mushroom.
Well, let's get
Deskin.
the mushroom.
Apparently, the adventuring party has disappeared, and the originator of the quests, Ren, from the Ren's Wonders, is seeking adventurers to find answers to what happened to them.
Ren, huh? I think I've delivered a couple of things over there. Interesting lady, I must say. Very interesting. A little weird, but interesting. I guess that's what makes her interesting, huh? It's the weirdness.
Indeed.
Indeed. So you didn't get their names then, huh?
No, unfortunately, she didn't provide the names.
Why were they up there anyway? I mean, there's nothing there.
That's what I seem to think. I pressed for information on what they were exploring for, and she seemed ambivalent to tell me.
Well, at a minimum, we need to make sure that we have their names because that would be kind of embarrassing. And think it's them, and it's not them. That's just egg on your face. You don't want that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, let's go pay her a visit. Let's head on back and talk to Rin. At least get the names. Besides, who knows? Because you don't know this. I'm from here. I grew up here. So her and I kind of like have this, I'd say a connection, kind of. She looks at me. I give her things. It's all good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's head on back. Maybe I can, glamour a little bit more information out of her.
I do fill them in on the gold amount that she was given, or that I was given, and offer to split it with them. 3 ways so far.
Okay.
Well, that's nice of you. Who knows? She might offer something else. You
Indeed.
never know.
So
I'm up for the experience.
as a group, the three of you were heading towards Rin Savixi.
Correct.
All right. At this time, it's about early afternoon. You've had your conversations, and you can make your way to Rin Savixi's. You know where it is. Those are, yes, as a lot of places in Otara, you're pretty good at finding locations of places. You know where it's at, no trouble. Again, as you get there, as you approach near the far north end of town, you see this unusual little structure. Meets you at the door. Ah, my friend, and she looks at you, Threskin.
This is Thorum. Yeah.
Thozar.
Thozar.
Welcome to
And
the
this
club.
is Davrim. These are fine adventurers that I've enlisted to help me find your people.
I see. So you've hired help. How can I help?
Well, first off, I mean, you and I kind of know each other. I brought boxes for you.
Would you like to come in and have some
Yes.
tea?
I would love some tea. You know, anything to wet the whistle.
Excellent, excellent, my friends. And she looks to you, Davram. Who might you be? Davram is your name.
Yeah, I see. Yes, Davram is the name, and I'm just kind of wandering through. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm hired per se, but kind of just tagging along.
She kind of looks at you with a cocked head from the side of her
I'm gonna
eye. And as she does so, she
mirror the
reaches
look.
out to your shoulder and she touches your shoulder. I need you to make a will savings throw. You are touched by the magic. Come.
I'm gonna grin. Yeah, you could say that, and prestidigitation. I'll make a little flame float above my hand.
She doesn't even flinch, and this little flame pops up. She turns and invites you all in to the chamber. You find yourself in that room as I described earlier, and it's just a small little table. There's now a fourth chair. Davram, you recognize that you can feel it. Without any effort, you can feel there's a presence of some type of mystique, a magical essence is here. But it's a positive one. You feel comfortable as you lean back into the chair and you see your newfound friend, Dreskin, as well as Thozar. And she immediately takes a seat as well, directly in front and across from you, Davram. To the left of her sits Thozar. To the right, of course, is Dreskin with his giant maul. Perhaps you should leave that outside. She looks to you. Dreskin?
I pat it and I assure her nothing bad will come of, its heftiness.
Okay. Now, how can I help you? Now, you are helping Dreskin, correct? You are hired by him. Am I correct in assessing this?
Sounds like fun to me. I'm just tagging along, make sure he doesn't get himself lost.
I see. Well, how can I help you then?
Well, we were talking about it, and he mentioned that you're concerned about a party that went up into the Gauntlight, and I had some questions that he wasn't able to answer. So, first off, who are these people? Who went up there? I mean, the last thing I want to do is say, "Hey, human, come with me," and bring the wrong one. If there's any others up there, I highly doubt it, but you never know.
I see. You have not heard of the recent heroes of Otari, then?
I have, but I don't know them on a first name basis, and just in passing, I had a feeling it might be them, but I just wanted to make sure.
She can pretty much verify that, that is the heroes, the recent heroes. Their first names are known, and I can give them to you guys. You can write this down. The human warrior with the long hair, a warrior from the north, they say. Her name... Sigrid, I believe. Sigrid, yes. They call her Sigrid. S-I-G-R-I-D. The little fellow, the little goblin. Curious one he is, being a goblin. I'm a little bit hesitant about being in the presence of a goblin, but he seems friendly enough. I believe his name was Neb. He seems some type of entertainer of sorts. Neb. N-E-B. The other human. Let me think. The cloaked one. Yes, I remember him. I think they called him Ramirez, or is it Ramirez? Something of that nature. He was a mysterious one. A little unsettling in his presence. But, nonetheless, I hired him. And the last one, that's Ramirez. Ramirez. M-I-R-E-Z. Oh, yes. And finally, there is the elf. Tell. I know him from past. He actually lives here in Atari, not far. He works at another establishment, which I won't go into. A fellow named Morderbent has his own little shop here. But anyway, yes, he is an elf, and he is quite capable of magic. So I understand, but he's a fine elven person. Yeah, Farley Tell, Farly. Tel. 2 words. And those are the current heroes. Now, there was a 5th hero, but he is not one that I hired for this mission. Who was this individual? I vaguely remember him. I do not know his name, actually. Yes, I believe he was a dwarf. But he, too, is one of the heroes. Not sure his whereabouts. Perhaps he is still in Notari. Perhaps. I do not know his name. I am sorry.
That's fine. But he's not at the Gauntlight then.
As far as I know, no.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead. Does he look like this? I'm gonna give the description of the dwarf that I rescued from the alley.
To some, all dwarves are alike. I cannot tell, my friend. I would say no. This one, as based on your description, this one was more of a religious sort. He had robes, if I remember. The symbol of Seren Ray decorated his neck. I remember that, yes. But again, he is not one that I hired for this mission.
Interesting. And why did you send them up there to begin with? I mean, there's nothing up there. You know that. I mean, it's been picked clean.
She takes pause. I would ask you to come back tonight when darkness comes, and I will show you there up at the Gauntlight, and I will show you why. She basically invites you to come back, and the reason will be clear to you, as she will reveal. But she basically describes how she hired, in vague terms, she's being a little vague here, but basically she hired them to investigate the Gauntlight because she felt something was amiss. And perhaps that will be revealed to you what that remiss was if you come back tonight, and she can show you.
I just have a quizzical look on my face.
I'm gonna glance around the shop real quick too, seeing as it's my first time in here.
This tea is delicious. Do you mind if I use the facilities?
Yes, yes. And she shows you around in that back room, but there's a little back, smaller room that she leads you through. And to the right side, there's a little doorway leading to the outside.
I shall return.
Okay.
So what kind of trinkets and what kind of stuff does she have around?
All right. Give me a blind perception check. To your left, across the shoulder of Dreskin, about 15 feet away, no, about 12 feet away, you can see all along the wall, row upon row of books, all different colors. You can just see them, remember, as a... Oh, that's right, I take that back. Never mind. In the shadows that are flickering with the candles. You see all these rows of books in all kinds of multiple colors. You see green books, you see red books, you see hard leather brown books with gold script and such all over them. Lots of different little books. Next to that, near the entryway to this room, along both sides of the walls, both sides of the door, the portal, you see more shelves, as well as a small little table to the left of the door. You see trinkets galore. It looks like antiques, all kinds of odd things adorn these two walls. Nothing really stands out as something that would be striking, just odd things. It looks like trinkets, like an old key. It looks like an old set of keys there. There's something that looks like a small little necklace, perhaps, of teeth. That's odd and for sure. To the right, where Thozar was seated, you can see the other wall there, and here is a mix of small statues, shelves with small statues of various icons of some sort, nothing you recognize. More books and more little trinkets, bowls. There is a stack of cups, perfectly balanced, one on top of the other, about 6 of them, and they're in this very ivory-colored clay, very clean, glazed clay. With blue stripes along the tops and the bottoms, with this big central green leaf decoration on each cup. The very cups you're actually drinking from, you take note. What a wonderful cup this is, you think, as your eyes continue to look upon all the various little trinkets along the wall, behind where Thozar was seated. Now, behind you, yourself, to your left, is, of course, the portal leading into the other chamber where Thozar walked off to relieve himself, and also a little smaller wall directly behind you. And here also you see a few books and a few more trinkets and a large silver bowl as well on the bottom shelf. It's actually very close to you. In fact, everything I described there as being behind you is actually within reach.
I'll make a little gesture and say a sparrow, and activate magic or detect magic. But I'm curious about those set of keys.
A set of keys. What is this you put in here?
Detect magic.
What does this look like for you? What do people see, if anything, when you use this magical ability? Cues?
For me, and what I kind of thought for my character is that his eyes will actually have lightning trace across the pupils, as it's active and he's concentrating.
Lightning crosses your eyes. Your hands are outstretched close to your body. Your head falls back. Your eyes close briefly, just for a moment. And it's then you feel a vibration of energy, magical energy, the very essence of your being. You feel its presence. So within 30 feet of you, you sense the presence of magic for sure. Magic you've not encountered before. So yes.
Gotcha.
The vibrations you get, the energy pulse that you feel in your being is kind of different, however, as you cast it here in this chamber, as it seems to almost vibrate like instead of it being just this feeling that just hits you all at once, and there it is. This is kind of like a humming, not a noise, but the way it feels. Vibrates in a pulsing way. And then, after a few seconds, it begins to dissipate as the spell releases and completes.
So that's good. And then while I'm doing that, I want to take a look at those set of keys.
Yeah. All right, you'll have to get up and go over and look at it unless you get a mage hand stuff, but we'll assume you're getting up to do this, right?
Yeah, I'll look.
It's right at this time as you stand up that Sven comes into the portal. My friend, what are you doing?
Just taking a gander about your wares.
Yes, be my guest. You would like any other items I can offer? I have potions. I have some magical gadgets you might need as well. For a price, of course. I do run a business here. I also read the stars. Perhaps you were interested in that. But yes, all along the walls, various items that I sell and have stories aplenty about. What takes your interest?
Well, I'm curious about these keys. It's not often you just see a random set of keys sitting on a shelf.
You draw close to the wall, and she follows you. You reach towards the keys, but don't take, as it would be impolite, perhaps. Or do you? Do you take the keys?
I don't think picking up and observing wares is rude, so I don't mind doing that. I'm not hiding any actions or being subterfuge.
Okay.
I mean, this is a display shelf where she's selling stuff, right?
Yes, each one has its own little thing. You point to the keys, and before you can touch, which you don't do in this case, you seem hesitant to do so and take pause. Her voice cuts the moment, and she begins to describe the keys of Galab. You can write this down. Galeb. Galab. The keys of Galab. There is much to say about the keys of Galab. Do you wish to hear? And she reaches towards this little key ring. And it's about 2 inches in diameter, and it has 1, 2, 3, 5 keys, each a different color. There is a silver one looks to be gold, another bronze, another brass, very similar but different. And there's one that is black. And she picks them up off the little nail peg that holds them. And she asks you, do you wish to learn the keys?
Yes, they look interesting.
Come. And she leads you to the table, where you seat yourselves once again, I assume.
Yeah, I'll walk back and sit down.
And Thozar, I imagine you're about ready and done. What are you doing at the moment?
No, I head on back.
Okay.
I'm not that sneaky.
All right. You make your way in after a few minutes and do your business. You come back into the chamber. You don't see Rin, but you hear her voice, and you enter the smaller chamber and turn to your left into the bigger chamber, where there to your right is your friends and an empty chair for you. And they all seem to be seated around the table with... Rin looks to you and looks back to the table, and she puts in the middle of the table what looks to be a set of keys. You seat yourself. Threskin, what's going through your mind right now? As all this activity around you is going on. You're somewhat reserved and quiet at the moment, taking in the
Hogwash
scene.
and foolery.
Before you are the keys of Galab. These were the keys found many centuries ago during the founding of Otari. For sure you remember the founding of Otari. And she looks to you, Thozar, knowing you a little bit more.
Yeah, wasn't those knights, if I remember correctly?
Knights of the Rose.
That's
the
right.
Rose Guard. Yes, you remember. The keys of Gleb. Many centuries ago, there was these keys that were brought by one of the heroes, one of the members of the Rose Guard. And she describes that one of them was a dwarf, and he was a locksmith, and he had all manner of keys, and he was able to fashion keys of all description to fit any door that the party would come across. And the keys of Galab were one such set of keys. Some would say that the keys found here, the 5 keys, the black, the brass, the bronze, the gold, and the silver, might have mouths to feed inside the Gauntlight itself. Who is to say? But that is the rumor. Others say that these keys work with any doors outside of Otari. Perhaps. However, the sad tale of the dwarf member. He was slain many years before the heroes of Otari ventured into the Gauntlight. A Otherwise, I cannot remember his name. But he was brave, so they say. But he was lost before the heroes of the Rose Guard confronted the evil that lurked in the Gauntlight many years ago. But they saved his keys. And these keys, the keys of Galeb, are here before you. Now, at this point, I would like everybody seated at this digital table to make a blind society check for me. So go ahead and roll those. Put them in the chat as a blind GM roll. She mentions these things like the Rose Guard, the Gauntlight, and let me real quick grab another detail here. I have to refer to my notes. Let's see. But all this information is kind of vague and new to you, somewhat. You know about the Rose Guard, and they have something to do with the history and backstory of the town. Whatever you read here on the map, if there's information on them, that's what you know, basically. But you don't know these kind of details, like, oh, who is this dwarf? He was a member of them, too. I wonder what happened to him. You don't know any of these details, so this is all kind of new to you.
Would Otari lore be more in line?
Does anybody have a lore specifically on Otari?
I do.
What's your proficiency in it?
It's a +4.
Because that would apply. All right, I'll assume that you made a lore for Otari check. That would be applicable. And with a +4, yeah, that won't really change anything. It's not something you heard about too much. Otari lore isn't your forte. You know it might be commonplace in town, but not much more. So, although not everything is new to you that she's saying, some of these details are, like keys of Galab and this dwarf member of the group who, passed away before the Rose Guard came here. What I will say, if you don't know this already, the Rose Guard were basically the founders of Otari. And this is very, very common knowledge. Everybody knows this. And the Reskin, you'd have no trouble learning this because it's very common knowledge. And some of their descendants actually still live here. And again, you could refer to the map and click on some locations to find that. I won't give that away. But yeah. And yeah. Do you have any more questions about these keys? Perhaps you would like to purchase them.
I'm curious in the price. And if we are going to go up to the tower, it might be helpful to have a set of keys that might be opening things for us.
She offers these keys to you, specifically, Davram, 20 gold. If you're interested, you can have them. 20 gold pieces, she offers them. Yes, my friend.
How about
a deal, a bargain.
I love bargaining, but how about just renting them for 2 days?
I'm sorry, I cannot do that. Perhaps if you go on this little venture of mine and you come back with information that could help, I will give you that help, and I will give you a discount, perhaps, of 10 gold pieces. In other words, if you go in there and it's going to be useful, she will actually offer them at a cheaper price. You kind of start getting the feeling that Sven is a shrewd businesswoman as well as a woman of mystery and other things. So she's always thinking of the coin. She's always thinking of the business, which is not unheard of. She's an entrepreneur. You get that sense. And of course, those are you, from what you know of her. Yes, indeed, she is a shrewd businesswoman with your encounters in the past. Making deliveries.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna pay that much at the moment. But and out of curiosity, how long ago did you send these adventuring party out?
So 10 days. She hasn't heard from him. And yeah, thus her suspicions. And she basically hired them to go up there and investigate. She says will be revealed to you when you come back tonight. So yeah, it's a little unusual for adventurers to disappear like that. Either they hightailed it or met a demise. Who's to say? So yeah, 10 days.
Okay. I don't have any more questions at the moment.
Neither do I. I guess all will be revealed later on tonight.
Is there anything you want us to do before you come back to Sven's? If you do come back to Sven's?
I do. After we leave, I am going to mention, I'm wondering about the Gauntlight itself. I mean, if the heroes went up there and they defeated a green dragon, what is up there? I think we need to know more about what's going on with that place. So, you guys want to go to the library?
Ooh, library. Wasn't there another bookstore around here too?
Yeah, there is. I think it's the odds and end. The odd stories and more. It's just around the corner. Actually, we're like right by it.
Well, maybe we could check in there on the way.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not really a library per se. It's more of a collection of magical scrolls and items of power. I mean, there could be something of interest in there. I don't know.
Well, isn't one of the heroes supposedly like a patron or work there?
Farley works there. I mean, I know of him. I don't know him. He's always was off doing something, and I never really had much interaction with him. But yeah, it's down the way. We can hit that first.
We can bypass it if you don't think it's going to be useful.
It doesn't hurt to stop there. I mean, it's like right there. I mean, worst case, we lose a couple of minutes. Yeah, we'll head on over there then to the odd stories.
Rin, you have a lovely shop and some fantastic tea, if I do say so myself.
It was quite tasty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And you are always welcome here at Rin's Wonders. Be sure to return
Oh, really?
at night.
Always welcome?
At night, tonight, you are welcome for sure. I welcome you, and I will show you. For I am curious if you too can see what I see. So when night hits and it comes, return. I shall show you the Gauntlight.
I bid her a good day and ask Thozar where the library is to start doing some research.
Those are already out the door. Come on, you guys, let's go.
It's this way.
All right. So, what is your plan before you return? Are you doing anything?
Yep, odd stories and more.
Is there actually a library, or would that be the temple?
The temple is a library.
Okay, so I'm gonna head there while you guys. I'm gonna head there and start the research there while you guys hang out at the bookstore.
However you want to do it. So, Dreskin, if you would like to head to the temple, which also is the library, at least that's what rumor says. That's what you hear in town. You're new here, remember? You guys, Thozar and Davrim, can head to Odd Stories and More.
Okay.
Let's see, what time of day are we looking at now? All right, so about after mid-afternoon, thereabouts. Okay. You have no trouble finding Odd Stories and More. Thozar, you lead the way, and Davrim's right behind you. Thozar agrees to meet up with you later. He's going to check down at the actual library. He hears that Saren Ray temple everybody's all raving and talking about is full of books, all types and kinds. Might even be some healing down there too, just in case. Good to know these things. And he makes his way towards the temple. And off he goes with his giant oversized maul in tow, disappearing into a crowd that seems to be thickening now. as the nighttime crowd starts to gather. Farmers come in from hard days of work and effort. It's the time of day we're nearing. However, Thozar, Davram, it's a short little jaunt across the way. You find yourself at 100 Rosegard Road, and there it is, a 3-story tower-like building. If you read the description, you'll get all that goodness. There's this sign out front, and it has a pair of books, one of which is open and displayed, written in some strange little scribbly markings to indicate it's some type of bookshop, bookstore, stories perhaps. Oh, it is known as Odd Stories. Let's go bang on the door, you think to yourselves, and you do so. No answer.
Oh, it's still daylight out though, right?
Mm-hmm. Or about mid-afternoon.
Okay, I'm just gonna open the door then.
Open the guy's door. Okay. You push.
Yeah, it's a shop. It's a shop, right?
It's a shop, but it could also be a home. Not sure. But you go ahead and push it open. It's not locked. And as soon as you do, and the creaking noise is quite loud, you hear a ring of a bell. Ting, 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 above your head. Indeed, the door has a little entry bell, alerting the owner that someone hasn't entered his building or his room.
Why did you knock on the door before going in?
I don't know. I thought it would be interesting, maybe.
Okay. You don't have to do that here. But it's a shop.
I know. That's just why I opened it. I thought better. Just a few moments.
It must be a custom from where you're at. I don't know.
Okay. The door creaks open. And it's actually a pretty well-lit room. Empty at the moment. You don't see anyone, but you're immediately hit. Your nostrils are hit with the smell of old parchment and paper and books. It just hit you. And there before you are rows upon rows of books. There are shelves sitting in the middle of the chamber that have books on them as well. And there, coming from the back through a little curtain, may I help you? This elderly-looking guy with white beard and white hair, he peers through and who might you be?
I'll walk in. Oh, well, fantastic. I was hoping to meet the curator. I'm assuming that's you. Taking a big breath. Man, gotta love the smell of vellum halfway in the afternoon.
The smell of vellum. The smell of vellum indeed, my friend. How can I help you?
To make things a little bit short, just trying to find some information potentially on the Mage Light?
Gauntlight.
Oh, the
Gauntlight. I'm seeing if you had any information on the Gauntlight. And also, as a side note, I heard that one of your colleagues, or perhaps patrons, has made his way to the Gauntlight and hasn't been seen. Maybe a Farley Tell?
Yes, Farley Tell. He's a good boy, he is. I sent him off on a quest underneath Otari, in fact. He's gone his own way now. I think he thinks himself to be an adventurer of sorts. Why, they brought back scales of dragons and teeth, which I quickly collected to myself. There are odd stories behind those, indeed. And he steps forward and reaches and grabs your arm and laughs and chuckles, and you can feel his elderly quake. He's a vibrant fellow indeed, and definitely odd himself. Dreskin, you make your way through the crowds. They're a little bit thicker in the southern part of town. You make your way across the bridge where you're staying currently at the Crook's Nook. You take a glance up at it as you make your way to the far side of the bridge and follow the path that leads towards the temple. It's quite a little jaunt, but you could make there in good time. There's still a few hours of daylight left in the day, and you make your way to the temple. As you draw closer, Dreskin, it comes in sight. This it looks like 3 towers. Blue, white stone. The smell of beautiful flowers and fragrances begins to hit your nostrils as you get closer to this temple. this structure that seems to be peeking up over the horizon of sorts, the other trees and architecture. But it's very inviting. It's pleasing. You don't think you've actually smelt anything as inviting as this before in your time, in your travels across Galarian. You draw closer and closer and closer, as inviting as it is, and you can see more of the structure itself, this beautiful marble in places, stone, it's all white, and there's blue designs painted on the walls and the sides. And as you draw closer, you come to what looks to be the obvious entryway. You see this open arch. It must be about 12 feet wide and just as high. And it's got like a grate that opens and closes. Right now it's open, and it looks like it has some type of gold tint to it. Very decorative. It's wonderful. Beyond this, in this small little wall made of natural stone that flanks each side of this and I don't want to say portcullis, but this doorway, this hatchway. And you see plants and shrubs and trees and the scent and vibrancy of spring. Far from spring, we're actually in late summer. But it feels like it's spring all the time here. Everything is bloomed, the greenery, the pinks, the reds, the flowers, the whites, and you can just make them out. But little swallows can be seen dancing on the branches of all the different trees, singing and playing as they are. You draw closer to this entrance. You cross the portal, and there before you is this stone walkway that seems to lead you towards the main entrance of the temple itself. You follow along. It's 3 feet wide in some spots, 5 feet wide in others. You're flanked by all kinds of beautiful shrubs and plants that brush by your flesh as you make your way. What do you do?
Was I alone on this path, or were there other townsfolk walking in and out?
The only people you saw were earlier as you came up to the gate entrance. There's nobody here, nobody in this garden-like area, nobody in sight, really. It's very peaceful. The only thing you hear is the sound of those birds and a light breeze. It's beautiful.
Okay, then go and open the door.
All right, you'll have to knock on this one. It ain't going to open.
No, it's a big one. All right, I'll knock.
A few seconds go by, and suddenly the door creaks open, and there, a bright face, a human, a beautiful woman with blonde hair greets you at the door in blue robes. You're greeted by a lady. And this chamber here doesn't look like the picture, but because it's essentially a greeting room. There's no books or things in the walls. But you do see a great arched doorway, no doors, that leads across a hall. You can see this.
Yep.
And on the other side of that hall, directly opposite you, is what looks like this great library of books. You can see them on the walls. And this picture that you're looking at for number 18, that picture, that is essentially the room that you see from where you're standing. It's this big chamber full of books. And there's these great windows and domes that are constantly feeding in sunlight and bright light. You are greeted by a beautiful human woman. And she's dressed in these wondrous robes of blue and white and gold. Let me see. I'm going to have you make a check. A blind will savings throw. Blind GM roll. Will savings throw.
Yep.
As soon as you see this beautiful human, you just feel warmth. She's absolutely beautiful. It's so inviting here. She reaches out to you with her arm and she touches you just gently on the wrist and then releases. And you feel this overwhelming sense of comfort, peace, welcome. And she says to you, "Greetings, my friend. Welcome to the Temple of Serenray. May I help you? And just as she finishes saying that, behind her comes two more maidens dressed in white and blue and gold-trimmed robes. You haven't encountered something like this probably in your entire life.
Nice.
It just feels otherworldly.
Right.
So how do you react to this welcome?
And she identified herself as a devotee of Saren Ray, you said?
She's not the head priestess. That, of course, would be Bandy Banderdash, halfling.
Yeah.
She's the head of the library. She oversees the temple of Saren Ray.
You know, obviously she's like the head honcho, so I don't need her help. But I am seeking knowledge and expertise. The Gauntlight. If you can provide assistance.
They're close to closing the library. Access isn't 24 hours a day, unfortunately. She makes that clear.
Of course.
But there is, if you'd like to go around and look, there's a little time to see if there's things you might want to look at tomorrow. They can help you find things. There's books, there's scrolls. And she invites you across into the library. You go across this little hallway and into this big room. And that's that picture that's in the description of the location. That's what it looks like.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you see these great tall, when you get in there, it's overwhelming because it just seems like the roof is like 100 feet up and it's got this dome and it's got glass windows letting sunlight down into the chamber. And there's these big, tall bookshelves where you need ladders and, wheeled steps to be able to access them. But for the most part, you're free to actually peruse if you're careful and with the aid of some of the people that work here or serve here at the temple. You can look for the topics you want. Now, in your case, you're specifically looking for stuff about the history of the Gauntlight and Otari, correct?
Correct. Yes, correct.
All right. Let me make
history
a note.
and or lore.
Okay, let me make a note. Researching at the library.
History and lore.
But what I will tell you now is that they're very helpful, and there's definitely information here that is right to your asking, right to your specifics.
Perfect.
So you'll probably get what you need here with a little bit of research. Now, with that, let's move back to Thozar. Mordeblint greets you, and you have that little encounter there, Davrim. Again, if you click on the location, the information is there, the basics of what's going on here. But what are you looking for specifically?
Mordeblintz, we are looking for information on the Gauntlight. Seeing as we're about to make a trip up that direction. See if you happen to have any stories or information on its history.
This I can tell you right off the bat. He doesn't have anything like that. I mean, specific historical, factual reference materials on that stuff. But he recommends you're better off at the library or the temple. But he can tell you some information.
I'd be happy to take whatever information you're willing to share.
I will tell you some information, though. From this gentleman here, you can get books. You can buy books. Formulas, if you know how formulas work in Pathfinder. That's how you make and craft things. Everything has a formula. And he supplies some of those. Also, arcane and occult scrolls. Spell casting as well. For paying customers. So yeah, and he's actually offers some magical services, spell casting himself, like detect magic and simple things like that, if you need anything like that, or comprehending languages. But all in all, he seems like he's got a lot of stuff on display, which is storybooks. some stories for children, many stories for adventures and things like that, but nothing in the realm of historical reference material. But he does know about the Rose Guard. But I will require a die roll, and this will be diplomacy. Many years ago, before Otari was built. You know what? Even you, Dreskin, you're going to gain some of this very same information, so you can hear this as well, because you'll learn this with very little effort at the library, because it's very common and easily accessible. I mean, you could ask people around town, and a lot of them know this stuff. Not the details, but in general. But,
Yes.
yeah, but because you're asking here at Mordeblint and asking himself, and the friendly man that he is, always willing to share stories, a story for a story, perhaps. Of course, you'll have to share a story too. But he will reveal to you that before Atari was built, there was an adventuring band of adventurers known as the Rose Guard. They had come here looking for someone by the name of Belcora. Belcora was an evil mastermind of spell-casting ability who was chased from, of all places, Absalom. And she had begun building this great tower, the Gauntlight. And the Rose Guard are responsible for tracking her down. And with great battle waged within the Gauntlight itself, rendering most of it into ruin, she was defeated, this Belcora. You might want to write that down, Belcora. I'll spell that if you need it. It's Belcora. So there's 2 R's in that, Belcora. And the heroes, the surviving members of the Rose Guard, one of them was slain in the battle, unfortunately, whose name, of course, was Otari. They had, in memory of their fallen friend, built what is today Otari, the village of Otari, named after their fallen comrade. The ruins of the Gauntlight still stand. It's not a working lighthouse, but it sits there. Again, it was built by Belcora for her evil intentions, whatever that might have been. No one knows. But the Gauntlight itself, the lighthouse, still stands, almost as if it was untouched by any, even time itself. But the rest of it, the rest of the fortress that Belcora built around the Gauntlight, was mostly in ruins at this point. The place is typically shunned. Not many people go there, not even adventurers. It's been long since raided by adventurers. And this is like 500 years ago or so that this all transpired. So Otari itself was actually a very young town. But yeah, people usually don't go there. It's shunned. It's dangerous nonetheless because, hey, I mean, even in the woods, there's, all kinds of wild animals and bandits and goblins and kobolds and who knows what lurks there, really. And for sure, the Gauntlight houses those creatures as well. But that's about it. Not a place you'd want to go if you're treasure seekers. I mean, it's been long gone raided. Can't be anything left. But other than that, it is a mysterious place. The most mysterious part about it all is that the Gauntlight remains as if it was built yesterday. It doesn't, no damage, no time has weathered it, nothing. But at least that's what Morlabent has heard. Yeah, and you as well, Dreskin, can learn the same amount of information. I'll let you have that.
Okay.
And even if you failed your die rolls, you'd still learn it from Davrin, which I'm sure he would share with you. So we'll let that go. Save us some time here, I think. But for funsies, go ahead and give me a diplomacy roll. You can make this blind GM Dreskin. Just for funsies. For my own reference.
No worries.
Okay, all right. all is good. So, yeah, that kind of information you can both glean from all this little research, Dreskin and Davram.
Great.
You too, Thozar. Some of this information, Thozar, you already know. You've heard before. Some of it. But yeah, you can verify some of this information.
What about the keys of Galeb?
No mention of that. There's nothing in the library about that directly as it relates to the Gauntlight and Otari's creation and all that. Nothing about that. I suppose you've wanted to research more details about the Rose Guard themselves? There might be some additional information you can learn, maybe?
There might be. I'm wondering if there are 5 doors, supposedly, in the Gauntlight that they might have come across. See if we can find more information than about the Rose Guard themselves then.
Unless you guys have more specific questions, what we can do is I can have you guys all meet up together, the 3 of you, and you can discuss your plans and what you learned, and that'll prep us for the next session. If you have any other questions for Morlablint or the librarians, Dreskin, let's take care of that now and see if we can fit that in.
Outside of doing the research that we were just doing, I don't.
Okay. Davram?
I think I got all the answers I needed from Morlin, at least as much as he's able to share.
Okay.
Friendly and affable of elderly scholar. Thank him for his time. And I do intend to come back, especially once I delve more into the arcane aspects of my character.
Yeah. Where have the 3 of you decided previously where you'd meet up together before you parted ways to the temple and to Morlablint's? We'll assume you.
I can meet them at
Well, we were going to meet at the temple.
Say again there, Devon?
We were going to meet you at the temple. We were only stopping at Morlablint.
Yeah, they were gonna follow me after. That was what they indicated.
All right. That's no problem. You could meet up down at the temple. I will say, Dreskin, it's dusk by the time you get done, and they kind of want to usher you out unless you have you want to go to a shrine or something. They have shrines to a number of deities here, not just Saren Ray.
Is the shrines open later?
Shrines are open much later.
Okay, then I'll stop by my shrine waiting for them to
All right. Who's your deity?
get down there.
Who's your deity?
Kalen.
Yep. There's a dozen acolytes of various faiths attending to the Dawnflower Library. Shrines to Caden, Erastil,
Yep.
Gazra. So you're all good. So yeah, there's a little shrine there where you can do your thing.
Take a drink.
Take a drink. Are you guys waiting outside for him? Or do you want to join him inside? And
Well, I have a book to return here anyway, so might as well get that done and over with.
Okay. When did you borrow a book?
Oh, it was the other day. It was Tusk Club, remember?
Oh, yes. That's more likely something you'd find at Morlablint's. But yeah, you can deposit your books and get a return card and all that going. Yeah. So if you guys want to go back to it's dark at this point. If you want to go back to a inn or your tavern, you guys are going to have to get together here sooner or later. You're all staying at different places. Where would you like to go to in terms of tavern and hang out and do some talking for the evening? This is where you'll make your plans. Let's get that on.
I don't mind following them back to the crow's nest.
Okay. All right, so everybody's at the Crow's Casks.
There you go. Sorry. Yeah.
Which is right around the middle of the town. Riverside, as you can see. Nice view.
I can easily amble home drunk from there.
Sign over the door. This 2-story building depicts a group of drunk crows perched on a leaky cask. Crow's Cask is more than just a popular tavern or brewery. It is the shrine to Caden. Kalian. All right, so you can gather up there, have a drink. So you have your little spot there. Thozar and Davram. You got your little spot. Now you got a third friend joining you. This one orc friend who likes to carry around this gigantic, oversized club, if you will. So yeah, go ahead and make your plans. What's going on here? What do we hear from you guys gathered around this little table? Now, it's somewhat busy tonight. There's about a couple dozen people here. So there's a crowd, all right?
I'll fill in Dreskin on what we found, or the information that we got, or that history bit about the Gauntlet, or Gauntlight.
And after he goes over what he found from the bookshop and the story he's told from them, I inform them of what I found from the library on the subjects I asked about.
Okay. Let me make a little die roll here. I'm going to consult my oracle once again.
By the way, an order a round of drinks and then also some food to the table, because it's around that time. And then kind of look around at them and try and figure out when we're going to go meet over at Rent's.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that because this is, I'm assuming, getting dark, and
Yeah.
we do have to head on over there and figure out what the rest of the story is that she wants to talk to us about. Plus, I want to take a look around to see if anyone seems to be eavesdropping in our conversation.
Go ahead and make a blind perception roll. You can all do this if you're all keeping your eyes open and peeled for anyone hearing in, listening in, perhaps. Shifty characters. Whoever would like to make that perception roll, go ahead. All right.
Oblivious to the fact.
Devrim, you made the roll, right? Yeah, you made the roll. Nothing unusual. Everybody seems to be caught up in their relaxing moments with their drinks. You can tell there's a lot of farmers here from outside of town. They're coming in for the evening to get some drinks and then go home. There's no big celebration or anything, but it's a pretty big crowd. People are enjoying themselves. You don't see anybody kind of prying where they shouldn't be in your direction. Although you do notice that bigger serving lady, who's I guess works here, she has been eyeing you from the back kitchen. That's about it. Those are pretty much the same thing. Nothing out of the ordinary. You also notice a particularly larger lass who works here peering at you, checking you out. Nothing unusual. I mean, you are good looking in your mind, a good looking half orc. Ladies' night begins. Oh,
Should I be scared?
maybe. So yeah, there's no one seems to be peering unusually in your direction to see what's going on. At least you don't think so. Dreskin, if you want to make a roll, Dreskin, you can go for it too. Unless you're just oblivious.
No, I'm oblivious.
Just drinking away.
Yep, just drinking away.
Let's we'll assume you guys get yourself all liquored up. You're feeling good. You talked a little bit, shared some information, and you just remembered. Wait a minute, are we supposed to go visit this Rin? So if you want to do so, you can do that now, and I'll take you to that location. Or you can stay here and say, "No, screw it. Well, we got money. Let's just do this tomorrow." It's up to you. You're having a good time.
I'm interested in figuring out what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should go.
In that case, the streets are dark lit by candlelight lanterns that are decorative across the various street sidewalks. It's about 3 hours past sunset. Still relatively early. You're feeling good. It's not a far walk to get to Rin's, but you make your way. It's definitely dark. Whatever she's talking about, this is the time. You make your way there. But when you pass the house next to hers, that little alleyway where you peer and see the backyard, there you see a glow from the backyard. Not sure what it is. It's kind of a bluish, no, not sorry. It's a kind of a reddish glow, like some type of fire is lit back there. Nothing unusual. If you'd like, continue to the front door. Do you?
Front door makes sense.
Okay, you make your hammer on the door and hellos and all this. She greets you. She's there. Welcome, my friends. Come, and I will show you the Gauntlight. And she leads you through the main rooms and in the back and back into this beautiful little setting she has here, her little back garden. I think there's even a shrine with a fountain with a little red glowing orb in the top. So that's the red glow, perhaps, you surmise. But regardless, she says, look, stand here where you can just make out the Gauntlight. And you can look, when you look towards the direction of the Gauntlight, you can just see it kind of silhouetted, black shadows against a bluish sky. It's nighttime, so you kind of know what I mean. You see its silhouette.
Yep.
And she says, look close and stare. And everybody that's doing so, you will make a perception check, including you as a second time, Dreskin, because
Okay.
you did this earlier. So everybody go ahead and make a blind perception check.
It was the daytime.
Okay, I've got Thozars, I've got Dreskins, and Davram. Okay. Dreskin?
Yep.
Davram. Davram, almost immediately. Must be your keen eyesight. Whatever it might be, you instantly see, as you look at the silhouette of the Gauntlight, you only see the top of it, and it's very small, but you definitely faintly see a blue glow emanating from its top. You pause and you stare at it. Dreskin, you didn't see it before, but somehow you also see this blue glow. It's very small, very faint, but you definitely notice it. And you look toward your companions, to verify this.
Do you see this too, Davram?
Yeah, there's a blue glow. Ain't magical like? I thought that place was abandoned.
I, that's the rumor that we've heard.
Thozar, you're not sure what they're talking about. You just see a black silhouette. There's no glow that they speak of.
I didn't see it before either. I offhandedly say.
Oh, if you guys say it's there, but I don't see anything.
Rin looks to you all. You see it. The blue glow, yes.
I do
Yeah.
now.
That.
Yeah, I see it.
And she looks a little bit pleased at this point. At least someone else sees it. You see, my friends that I sent, that's what they were after.
Ah.
To investigate and see what this is. This is odd and unusual, and my friends, I fear a great evil stirs within the Gauntlight. If you find my friends and show that they are alive and well and give evidence, I shall serve you well. But at the same time, if you would, maybe find out yourselves what this blue light might be, especially if my previous friends who were on this charge have met a demise. I would ask that of you as well, but I wouldn't ask you to do it for free. Just find evidence of my friends and come back and let me know, and we will talk more if need be. This is a great import to Otari and its people. and she kind of conveys to you seriously that something is amiss and she's a little bit off on it and worried. Now, jumping into the Pathfinder 2e rules, there is an action anybody can take. I don't know why it's in the combat chapter, but it is. It's an action. And it's, what is it called? It's a way to tell if someone's telling the truth.
Sense motive.
Yeah, I think that's the name of it. That's an action you can take when you're talking with people and doing things like this. If somebody wants to try that, we're in exploration mode, so you can just do it. It is a perception check.
Okay. I'll do that.
You know, just for funsies. Practice the rules.
I'll throw mine out too.
Perception, right?
Mm-hmm. Boom. Those are... There is no doubt that her words ring truth. She's honest here. She really is kind of concerned about this and everything she's set up until this point, in your mind. Dreskin, Davram, she's a hard read being a tiefling, but you don't sense anything unusually wrong about what she says. It kind of makes sense, but that's what you're garnering from this. So for all intents and purposes, you can all agree that, this is truthful. She's being truthful.
Yep.
With you.
We'll do our best to find out what happened to your friends.
I thank you, my friend. Okay, so... And she stands there and she looks at that glow and she stares at it. And you got to admit, those of you that did see it, it is kind of unusual, especially after learning that it's supposedly abandoned. What's this about? She wishes you would do this as soon as possible, even at first dawn, but otherwise at your convenience. And of course, Dreskin will be Dreskin will be responsible for paying you guys. How you guys want to work that, I don't know. That's up to you. But Dreskin, you're owed 2.5 gold pieces.
Oh.
How much you offer your new friends here is totally up to you. You can give them each a silver if you wanted. It's all up to you. They're just joining you because this is what they want to do in life. Be adventurers, and hey, the little coin is good. You guys can work that out. And we'll assume you guys make your way back to the... well, what do you want to do now?
I'm good with resting for the night.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. Planning to get up early.
Yep. And starting the day off fresh.
Do you guys think we need one more? Or do you think the three of us can handle... I mean, there was a party of 4 there, and they were heroes who fought a dragon, apparently.
Yeah. I would say trying to find one more wouldn't hurt. My maul can only handle so much.
Yeah. Boom.
Yep.
All right, we'll assume you guys make it back to the crow's casks, and you could sleep where you normally do. It doesn't matter, but we'll end the session there, and we'll pick it up from there.